On today's episode, we're talking about Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
And I don't catch a Weedle or Rattata in the whole episode.
Hello and welcome to TGI Monday. We're excited to be back after a little break over the summer. We're particularly excited to see Howell here with 2 arms.
2 arms. Check it out, lad.
2 arms. Was that a miraculous recovery, Howell?
Well, sort of. Yeah, the physiotherapist and all the other medical staff can't believe how quickly I got better.
Ah.
And as well, there's a video on this on the Silly Vicar show about when we went to Walsingham for the sprinkling of the well and what happened there. So check that out. I sprinkled my elbow and my elbow stopped hurting.
Wow.
So I'm not.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was a bit freaked out by that. So you can see my face going about that. So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
You do look-
Yeah.
Wow,
A
it's
little
good.
bit
Well, it's good
freaked
to
out.
see you without the plaster as well. We're missing Dan today, sadly, who,
Are you sure?
well, he's not here. We believe he's not technically on holiday, but on study week.
Yeah.
Study week. He's working very hard. All
Is he
curates.
studying the side of the pool?
Is he studying the side of the pool? No,
So
we
he's
know
not
all
reading.
curates do have to work very hard, don't they, Zoe?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't try and study during the kids' summer holidays. So
Yeah.
no,
No.
no
Good.
chance. I just don't bank mine until they've gone back to school.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it has been the summer holidays, and one thing I'm sure you've all been noticing over the summer is Pokemon Go. Have we been playing it at all?
Yeah.
How's
It's
been playing it?
Very important
What
part
level
of my
are you on?
recovery.
What level are you on, Hal?
13.
13. I'm only on level 6. I'm not very good. We've had a question about it. This comes from someone called I Am Grimalkin on YouTube, and he left a comment a little while ago at the beginning of the summer. How can the church use the new Pokemon Go trend with people coming to its buildings to engage with the community and spread the gospel? So it's a great question. I'm sorry it's taken us a little bit of time to get around to answering it, and possibly we may have slightly missed the boat on Pokemon Go.
It's only a couple of months. That's pretty current for
They're
church.
still doing it. They're
It's
still
true.
doing it.
They're still doing it. It's still, I believe,
I'm still
in the
doing
sort of top 10 list of apps being downloaded. So maybe not completely, but it's just interesting to think, isn't it, how the church can identify when something like this comes along and think about how it can use those trends, those things that people are doing, out in the general world, to think about how as churches we can engage with that. So I wonder, have any of you done things at your churches over the summer that have had a Pokemon Go related theme?
I've been on the sick.
You've been on the sick.
But
That's
what I
no
have
good.
done with Pokemon Go
Yeah.
is I've been out as part of my recovery doing lots of different walks. So what you do is, look, check it out, look, yeah? What you do is you go up to the church and lots of mates and everyone's been up the church doing this, and you spin the Pokestop like that. There
Yep.
we go. And I got, we've got a ball, and we've done
Potion.
I've got a potion, a ball, and an ultra ball, so that's good.
Ooh.
And we found out as well that St Mary's in Market Drayton is rubbish for Pokemon Go.
Is it?
Yeah, you only get 3 Pokestops, and the best one is St Thomas and St Stephen's Catholic
Okay.
Church. So people have been going on little pilgrimages around with Pokemon Go.
Pilgrimage.
Pilgrimage.
I love it.
Excellent. But you can do stuff like I've been doing that, even though I've been on the sick. I've
Very
been doing
good.
that with my lad. Getting
Have you been
better.
doing that on the bike again?
No,
Good.
I have been back on the bike though.
It
I
is
have.
interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of churches are Pokestops or Pokegyms.
Yeah.
Which, if you're not sure what that is, they're places like Hal's just shown where you get extra stuff, or Pokemon gyms where you can kind of you battle, don't you? You play against other things.
Shrewsbury
and you
Cathedral's a Pokemon gym.
Yeah.
We
Anyway,
took that down.
because they're sort of,
from the gym.
public places, people know what they are. I went to an amazing thing earlier in the summer at Christchurch Stone. They organised a whole series of what they called poker parties. So they just advertised free hot dogs, drinks, sweeties, places where you could charge your phone. And then they bought what are called lures that sort of bring in extra Pokemon
Yeah.
for a couple of hours, advertise these things. I think the first one, they had well over 100 people there who'd driven from all over the place, people who never come to church normally, I went to the second one, and it was just lovely. There was a real mix of people there. You sort of gaming geeky boys, but also, younger kids with their parents or their grandparents.
Sorry.
There was a very sweet couple who were just telling everyone they just got engaged. I don't think they'd met playing Pokemon, but it was, and it was just a really lovely atmosphere, and it just felt to me as though it was just a way of the church saying, we want you to be in our space. We're not shutting our doors to you. Actually, we're welcoming you in. And for those people, there's a lot of people out there who just aren't used to being in and around churches. And I think, I just was just thinking, maybe at some point, if one of those people is in a position where they need a church, they would feel much more comfortable going and exploring and finding out, having been to something like that.
Yeah, but here we've got, like today, we just finished our art group, we have a job club, we have all sorts of things. So this is a living building, it's used all the time. And that's got to be, Pokemon Go is a little part of that, a very small part of that.
Yeah.
But I think the key thing really is about having your door open.
Yes.
And I think that the message we send all the time in the church sometimes is where we have the door shut.
Yeah.
And that's obviously for security. And what we're hopefully going to do is get some security cameras here so we can have the door open all the time.
Great.
And the story that strikes me is someone I know had an encounter with God in Marks and Spencer's.
Wow.
Right, yeah. And what happened was she had this encounter. She never sort of was an atheist, didn't go to church and all that. An encounter with God in Marks and Spencer's, and she walked out of Marks and Spencer's, and what happened was the church opposite Marks and Spencer's was open.
Yeah.
And then she went in. Now then, just like Pope Francis, same thing happened to him. Is if that door was shut, then she would not be able to go into the church, and all that. The story would be totally different. So we do need to throw open our doors.
Yeah, physically opening the space to people.
And it's the door of our heart as well.
Yeah. So what other things, Zoe, can churches be doing to engage with community in that sort of way?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's quite a few thoughts, and I'm a bit slightly conflicted on some of that stuff, just because there's the reality that, for lots of people, crossing the threshold of a church and going in would be as alien to many people as going into a Bookies if you've never been in. There's so many different ways of doing things, subcultures that are never explained, and all of that isn't good, and it isn't okay. I do react a bit against it doesn't matter what they're here for, just get them in no matter what. And I think because people sniff out a gimmick.
Yes.
Actually, we don't have sacred spaces in most of our culture now, and so there's something really important about making sure that that's what the identity of the church is. And there's always things that come and go, and actually when we think about church we think, people think, that's where God is. Well, actually God is here, God is wherever we are. But we do need those places to gather, and there's loads of different ways that churches can find ways to open their doors, and that is a bit more of an issue for village churches where they just haven't got people around to make that feel like an open space. But I do think that there's lots of different ways that we need to be inviting people to make that step over the threshold, but also keep that element of, this is where you come when a tragedy happens in your community, and that this isn't the same as the community centre. Whilst it can be used for many things, people need that place that's sort of where the reflex takes them.
Both
and
and.
not just tragedy, obviously celebration
but
and all those kind of things
that
as
seems
well.
to be like what's just happened in the news. People need somewhere to go, and they don't just need a venue. They actually need something that feels other.
But the other thing is as well is prayer and spirituality change places, and they become thin places.
Yes.
And if you go to a sacred place, there is a difference which is beyond us, which is there. And I think if we create that sense of the sacred there, the sense of the spiritual, that will draw people in more than a Pokemon lure.
Yes. Gimmicks, actually, for the sake of it. I'm not interested in filling church with people for whatever reason, just to get them in the building, because the building isn't the faith. The building can speak about the faith. The building can be where we meet each other and are open to meeting God. And that is really important. Interestingly, I went to a thing over the summer where the worship was in a marquee, a tent with a screen, and I hadn't quite realised how much I liked the beautiful buildings until they weren't there, because I came to faith in a church like that, and I was like, I was looking for beautiful things. It was really odd. So these are huge gifts in terms of pointing to who God might be, and and people still need those sacred spaces to gather.
Very
so
helpful.
I just don't want us to be gimmicky
No,
for
I
the
think
sake
that's
of it.
very
Actually, we
helpful.
look silly.
And it, you know, whatever engagement is needs to be real engagement with people,
Yeah.
people from the church and people from the rest of the community in those kind of ways. So I hope that was helpful. It has been a really fun thing over the summer for lots of people, and I hope that your churches are thinking about ways to use that or maybe other things to engage community and to reach out. We'd love to hear what you've been doing. Do tell us about it.
And if you want to cheat on Pokemon Go, I've got a how-to guide on the Silly Vicar Show. How to cheat on Pokemon Go.
Don't cheat. What's the fun in that?
So you're advocating cheating, are you now?
Yeah, I've done a whole video on it. Put it on a turntable.
What else do you cheat at?
Just Pokemon Go.
It was
Nothing
very
else.
funny. And the
No
quiz.
taxes.
No.
Would Jesus cheat? Would Jesus cheat?